You need a great opener, like somehow we're adults. Do.
We can record that right
some
now.
Some kind of like.
We can record that right now.
Everybody, be quiet.
Somehow we're adults.
So we were going to do a podcast today on advice for new couples when it comes to finances.
Yeah, talk about why finances are important in a relationship, in a new relationship, or a relationship in general, because there is how you should be handling your finances before marriage and then after, in my opinion.
This is my least favorite topic to ever talk about.
Couple related stuff. You love couple related stuff.
Just finances.
We're not sitting down to budget right now and being like money. No.
I'm just saying, like, out of everything we could talk about, finances is like the like.
But you have your own personal opinion on it.
I know.
Yeah, like I think this is a great subject for people because this is really just talking about like relationship advice for it. So it's not we're not sitting down and being like, okay, this is how you should handle your money. It's like this is how you should handle in a relationship handling your money.
I'm just saying, like, for anyone out there who hates finances, I'm with you.
Yeah. So it's pretty typical in every relationship for there to be one person who's like the math nerd, and then there is one person who is the free spirit.
I am not a free spirit.
Daniela is 100% the free spirit when it comes to money. I think that if she was still single, that she would be exactly $0 in her bank account every day that she gets paid, because that lady loves to spend money. And it's fun. Spending money is fun. However, I'm always just constantly like... the Grammy told me something yesterday, and it's my quote for my life now. She said, "My father could pinch a penny so hard it would squeal." I think that's me. Pinch a penny so hard it could squeal is me. So,
that is you.
100% that's me. So we wanted to come up with like 3 tips, each of us, of like things, that like advice financially for people. We're not going to tell you like how to do a budget or like how to
go listen to Dave Ramsey for that or something.
Right. Yeah, we get a lot of like our structure for how we handle our finances from like Dave Ramsey. I also watch a lot of like financial YouTubers and what?
You're saying we?
What do you mean we? Is that not how we operate our lives?
I feel like you get a lot of like the financial philosophy, and then we just talk about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, because you're the free spirit.
Yeah,
so
like I understand what we do. I understand everything involved in our finances down to the penny. But when it comes to like, oh, we're gonna structure it this way, or I just heard this like life changing like way, like I'm
this is what she's talking about to people listening. I'll be like, Dave Ramsey says to do a 15-year fixed rate mortgage where your payment is no more than 25% of your take home pay. And I'm really thinking that instead, if we bought a house that we could afford on a 15-year fixed rate, but finance it as a 30-year, and then we take the difference in the payment and we automate that to where it goes into an investment account at the 15-year mark, we will have saved more money than we would have saved in interest. Like, I just do these way crazy calculations in my mind. And to Daniela, her brain just goes, doop. It just turns off right when I start saying stuff like that. I'm
literally like, okay, show me on paper the final numbers, and that's all I care about.
And then typically she's like, oh, well, clearly this one makes more sense. And I'm like, thank you.
But he'll go like on this whole like philosophical like rant down to
because
like
it's simple interest and simple interest runs, the way that they work, and da-da-da-da-da. And then, yeah. Yep. It's a problem. I like it a lot. So... Okay, you want to start with one of your tips first, and I'll pull my tips up while we're doing that.
So from our experience, the first thing that I thought made the biggest difference out of everything was having an emergency fund.
Ooh.
Like not having necessarily like savings, because that was like one of those things where I was like, isn't it the same thing? If I have savings, like we can just use it for an emergency. Like why do we need 2 accounts for it? Like he has like this whole thing where it's like our groceries and gas comes out of one, our spending money comes out of one, our bills comes out of one, then we have like savings, and then we have like a whole like it's like a whole system.
Yeah, we have a whole system.
To me, it was like, why can't we just put it all in one account, everything other than the bills, and go from there? But regardless, the biggest thing for us, or for me personally, with like shifting our mindset to where it's not like living paycheck to paycheck, or just like I have money for bills and I have money to just save, was specifically having stuff dedicated for an emergency. I felt like that kind of gave you like gave me like the safety net almost, because I know that that money's not going to be used for absolutely anything other than if shit hits the fan.
Yeah, it's your buffer between you and life. Mm-hmm. That's what I like to say.
And then it's also like cool because it's like you have that money already set aside dedicated for like emergencies, but now like everything you are saving, you can actually see it grow and know that that's like just money that you can use in the future for whatever you need.
Mm-hmm. Well, to speak on that philosophically speaking, the way that banks work is the money they have on deposit, they lend it out. And as long as they have enough cash on reserve to where if enough people wanted to go take out money, that they have enough cash to do it. So like typically, if a bank offers a CD rate, a CD is just basically like an extra higher interest rate thing to put your money in a bank for a certain period of time. It's called a certificate of deposit. But if they're giving 5% interest on that CD, typically loans are going to be like 7-8% on average above that, if not higher. So the bank makes more money than they give the people back typically for doing the CD. So in saying that, like, if you're wanting to save money at like a higher interest rate and stuff like that, you have to like put your money to work one way or another. And you could either start a business or you can buy businesses, or, you know, basically what I mean by that is like putting money in the stock market. So, and investing your money. So there's just different ways to do that. But when you invest your money, there is a gap if you were to need the money. And like if you decided to put your emergency fund in like an investment portfolio, that's fine and dandy. But if you have an emergency on Monday, you might not have that money for 2 weeks, because typically that investment company is going to want to either wire you the funds or they're going to send you a check. In either way, it's going to take time. Like with an emergency fund, you want to have it in a place where you can have immediate access to it. Mm-hmm. To where if, like, God forbid, like we have it totaled up to where ours is like a 3 to 6 months emergency fund. We're a little bit more close to 6 months. Basically, what I mean by that is if we both lost our jobs and we had to continue to eat, pay our rent and our electric bill, like there's no
basic
bills. There's no Netflix, there's no Spotify, there's no jujitsu for that. There's no like all the extra stuff that we have that is not required for us to live. Mm-hmm. That's like paycheck, like to paycheck, kind of like barely scraping by. But it would be 6 months that we could do that for, in worst case scenario. So we want immediate access to those ones. But we've talked about like if one of us was to just get in a car accident and total the car, like if the person is 100% okay, now we still need to go get a new vehicle, or not a new vehicle, but a different vehicle. Mm-hmm. So we also believe to not own any vehicles or to not have any car loans. So it's one of those things where we would want to just go out and pay something in cash or something like that. We would deal with that situation at the time, but we would have that option to just buy like a $2,000 car. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Having an emergency fund prevents you going into unsecured debt. Unsecured meaning it's just higher interest rate typically, and there's nothing to make it lower interest rate. Regardless, I could go on a tangent. But the emergency fund, having immediate access to it for me, and I'm sure for you, is like super. Like if we have the worst day of our lives in the evening and we need immediate access to money, we can do that. So that gives me peace of mind. So my first one is pretty controversial for a lot of couples. Like this is my experience. This is what I believe. But combined finances when you're married. And if you're not married, you should at least be budgeting together and try and operate your finances on the same way. So before we got married, we did not combine our finances.
We weren't married for like what, 6
It was
years?
5 and 5. It was a little bit over 5 years we were together. We were living together too at that point as well. But we did not combine our finances. However, what we did do was we would budget together, and we operated our finances on the same wavelength. So, it's not fair in our relationship at that point if we knew we're on the path to marriage for one person to be saving a ton of money and then the other person have $0 in their bank account. Like that would be a terrible way to start our marriage. Is like, okay, now we have to figure out our finances, because the number one reason people get divorced is finances. So, and you should combine them when you're married, because if you can't agree on your finances, you're going to have that is a symptom of much bigger issues to come in the future. If you can't combine your finances, that is going to be you are going to start your relationship off on a note that is just it's going bigger problems are going to come in the future.
I'm going to merge part of mine into yours. Honesty. So going into the relationship, like obviously not when you're first dating, but once you guys are established, either with the goal to get married or in a marriage, like you guys should know exactly how much everyone else has. Like, you should know how much they're making. You should know whether or not they have any sort of debt. You should know what their bills are. You should know what their spending habits are. Because I need to be reeled in a lot of the time. And I don't even spend like money on expensive stuff. I'm just the kind of person that's like, oh, it's only $5 100 times.
Yeah. Every sentence you have when it comes to shopping starts with, it's only. And
Exactly.
I'm like, no, motherfucker, it's still money.
I'm like, I found this for only $10. Like, but do that 100 times and it adds up. But yeah, just be honest and have that open conversation, because once you do get married, like there's no reason for you guys to not be able to combine finances.
If you're trying to hide stuff financially from your spouse when you're married,
don't get married. Or talk about that first.
Yeah. So no. If you're trying to hide stuff, this is the best way to look at it. Finance wise, if you're hiding stuff from your spouse and you're married, just realize in divorce court it all comes to the top. There is no hiding anything in divorce court. So if you're married and you're hiding something from your spouse, unless you're hiding something to buy them a nice Christmas present and you're taking out cash and putting it in an envelope they don't know where to find, like, you're in for a tough situation.
It's also for like both of your protections. If you have everything in the same account, you can both see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like no one's going to be like taking money out for whatever reason. No one's going to be like buying really expensive stuff without your knowledge. Like you will have access to everything that everyone does.
And if you can't build together, financially speaking, like, why are you getting married? Like, if you can't build finances amongst other things, because that's what a relationship is when you're in a serious committed one where you're married. Like, you should be building stuff together. Building, a great relationship, building a great household, building a great budget, building a great financial, platform to stand on. Like, it's just, these things are easier when you do them together. And it's, to me, are signs of a strong financial or strong relationship rather. So if the number one reason that people get divorced is finances, why would you not make that a key point of focus? You know what I mean?
Like, set yourself up for success. I was also going to add, like, for girls, I feel like there's almost this, like, society telling you that you have to be, like, independent, that you can't rely on a man.
Oof, preach, sister.
So I have come a long way. So I used to be the don't need no man, I can do everything for myself, blah, 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 blah. Shut up, right?
No, I'm just vibing, dog. I'm just vibing. Keep going.
But no, that's not really how it is once you're in a marriage. And yes, you could still be independent. You can still have your own stuff. You can still have your own spending money. But that mentality that we're all kind of being like brought up with is not healthy.
It is in some ways, though, because how much of our parents' generation just like let dudes run over them, and that's not okay.
Yes, but also I feel like we're also in a better place. Like, it's one of those things where it's like this whole like be independent, like woman empowerment. Like, it's so great for so many things. But then I feel like it also puts this pressure on you that you cannot rely on another man or you cannot rely on another person. When you're literally picking that person to be with you for the rest of your life.
Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't matter if your finances are combined or not. If you get divorced, they're entitled to half of everything. Unless you get a prenuptial agreement, which that is a whole nother conversation. If you're marrying somebody and you're planning to get a prenuptial agreement, unless the income is incredibly lopsided. Like if Daniela was a doctor making 400 grand a year and I bag groceries for 20 grand a year and we're getting married, it's probably a good idea to get a prenuptial agreement. But if we're both making roughly the same amount of money and like, I don't know, I just don't feel like that's a smart thing to do is get a prenuptial agreement. That's almost at the beginning of a relationship, that's almost saying like, hey, in case shit goes sideways, I want to be protected. And it's like, well, maybe you should do everything in your power to prevent shit from going sideways.
Yeah, but I feel like also like this whole like need to keep things separately comes from like prior experience, prior trauma, like
Protection.
The way your parents raised you with money. Like there's so many different layers that go into how you feel and deal with money that you need to unravel and work through together.
Yep.
Like you have a very like, this is this, like do this step, go to the next one. And my reaction to money is more emotional. Like I have this, what's the word? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Where you like live your life thinking you don't have enough.
Scarcity.
Yes, I have that scarcity mindset going into any financial situation, to where like when we discuss, it's always a little more emotional on my end. And I tend to like freak out, even though we're fine, even though everything on paper looks good. I'm like, oh my God, we don't have money.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things where it's like, merge your finances, deal with
When
the
you're married.
stuff that you've already, like all of the past trauma and emotional baggage that you're bringing onto the table. That way you both can have a open discussion when it comes to how you guys are going to prepare for the future.
Like I said, it's just when you're not married. If you're in a relationship and if you think in your mind, if you were to combine finances right then, just in your mind, just to play this whole thought game, if you were to combine finances right now, does that scare you? Because if it scares you, then you need to know that your finances need to be worked on, because it shouldn't scare you. Like I was not scared at all to combine you on our finances. Like when we joined our bank accounts and stuff like that, and they added it to you, and they're like, you know that she can like take all of your money and close the account and run away. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It is what it is.
I guess I'll sleep at my mom's.
It is what it is. I am so confident that that's not even in our cards. I'm giving her the power to do it. This is so stupid, but with great power comes great responsibility. And if you don't give somebody great power, they can't be responsible. Am I wrong?
No.
So like, you're incredibly responsible with our money, just like I'm incredibly responsible, because we both have incredible power with our money too. Like, we could destroy each other, but because we could, we don't.
Yep.
And we have no desire to. We deal with it all together. So, it just, I don't know. It creates a way where it's like a buffer between you and in your relationship for shit. You know what I mean? I feel like it really is, if you can agree on finances and budget together and do everything together, it just really sets you up for success. And if you're not married, the best thing you can do is try to sit down, have conversations, get on a budget together. I mean, look at finances like it's a financial meal plan. You know what I mean? You know what you have to do each month. Oh, I need to consume this many calories. But you need to be like, okay, here's what we have. Your bills should not be a surprise to you. And like, go, okay, this is how much money we make. This is how much money we spend. How can we either increase the amount of money we make or decrease the amount of spending? And you should really be doing both. Decrease the amount of spending.
I remember like once upon a time, like every time my like car insurance, because I was paying it every 6 months, would come around,
it's scary.
I would freak out because I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to get this money? And then you were like, you do realize this bill comes out every 6 months. And you should have already had the money. I was like, oh shit, I don't like you right now. Like, that's true.
I was like, you should just take what the 6 months is, divide it by how many months that is, divide by 6, and then just save that every month.
And it's hard because you see, like, this was like back when we weren't making, like, we're still, millionaires, but like when we were making a lot less than we are now. And I remember being like, but that's like X amount of money that I have to take out of like my monthly budget, and I won't be able to like buy like stuff I want like I do now. Like, it's a total mind shift. But
we were also like teenagers basically.
Yeah, but it's like these bills shouldn't be a surprise. Just like when everyone gets to Christmas and they're like, oh my God, I have to buy everyone gifts. Like, you knew Christmas was every single year. You knew this person's birthday was every single year. Like,
Yep.
it shouldn't be a surprise.
What's your next point?
Hold on.
I like that a lot, though. That's probably there's probably 800 people or however many people that were just listening. There's just like 100% chance that I at least pissed off one person when I said combined finances. I would never. She's so da 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 with money.
But there needs to be a level of trust, and there needs to be a level of you can confide in each other, and if that's not there, fix that issue first.
You should either both be smart with your money or you should both be stupid with your money, but you should both be doing the same thing.
Yes, but there's a level, like, if you were getting loans and you had, like, ridiculous, like, credit card debt just because you didn't know how to handle your finances, maybe I'd give it a little time before we did that.
Right.
So,
but,
like,
but at least we could be like, okay, let's be open, apparent, and honest because I love you.
It still needs to be openly
better.
discussed, but also you both need to be able to rely on each other. And if that's not there, then you need to deal with that issue.
Because then are you going to be able to emotionally rely on each other in times of things too? You know what I mean? It's just a symptom of other things to come.
Ooh, okay. So my next one is get rid of society's expectations for where you should be at with money, with what you should be doing with your money, with just like everything in general. Like,
Oof.
Like when it comes to finances, it is now you and your husband. You do not need a brand new car. You do not need the biggest house. You do not need name brand clothing. Like, at the end of the day,
What?
all of that is for everybody else to be like, oh, look at them. They're doing so good.
What?
In reality, you trying to keep up with everyone else, you trying to meet everyone else's expectations, your mom, your dad, your neighbor, whatever it is, it's only setting you and your husband back.
Preach, sister.
Was that
yes.
good?
Yes. Oh, I love it. Okay, so don't keep up with the Jones. Keeping up with the Joneses is not going to get you where you want to be. Right?
Yep. I feel like there's so many layers to that too. Like, it's not just like physical stuff that you're trying to keep up with, but there's also like I mentioned earlier, all of these expectations that you have brought into the table, either from what your parents have told you, what your previous experience with money is, like all of that. Like, leave it. If it's not something between you and your husband, it does not need to be brought into the financial side of your relationship.
Yep. I gotta find this thing that I saw the other day. It was, remember that thing I reposted on my Instagram?
Oh, yes.
Golly, I need to find that. Who was it that posted that? You know what I'm talking about?
The one about the debt?
Consumer debt, yeah.
Okay, wait. I got it, I think.
Yeah, is it still on your story?
No, but I think I know how to get to it.
Okay. But basically, probably we're going to read this one to you when we can find it. We found it. Here we go. So, I even went to their page and it didn't show up. Okay, all right. So, the American dream is a debt trap. $80,000 for college, $30,000 for a wedding, $300,000 home, a $40,000 car, and it says we trap people in their 20s and they spend the next 35 plus years giving most of their time to a job to pay it all back. America does not run on Dunkin', it runs on consumer debt. 100%. All of those things, if you can do right by the big decisions in your life that revolve around money, if you can do them right, like, you're going to be set up so much better than everyone else. If you can drive a paid-for vehicle, a cheap paid-for vehicle that is reliable, like, I don't know. I've gotten to the point where, like, if I see somebody with a really nice vehicle, like a very nice, expensive vehicle, it doesn't mean anything to me. I see it, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's a nice vehicle. But financially, I'm like, there are trapped by that. Either that or they're making such good money that is a cheap vehicle to them.
The way I see it too, it's like the more you need to feel like you're showing off brands, like the people that wear like all of these like name brand like Gucci shirts, Gucci, like, you know what I mean? Like all of that, I feel like the more you're just trying to prove to yourself, and chances are you're in debt.
Oh yeah.
Like, I see people like that now and I'm like, you probably put that on your credit card.
Yep. It's You don't need to, I don't know. I get more comfort knowing that we drive older useful, like the newest vehicle that we have by far is a 2014. The next newest vehicle, 2003. The next newest vehicle, 2001. But we own all of them. We have the title in hand, all of them.
Yep. So from my experience, it's like I graduated third in my class. I was a smarty pants. And whenever they're like, "Where are you going to college?" I'm like, "I'm not."
Well, you went to HCC.
Yeah, but like I didn't like go. Like I had most of that already done, so I just had to finish like one course before like I got my AA. But like telling people when they see you as like this like smart person that should be going to like the highest college, like I probably could have gotten into like whatever college I wanted. But I'm like, what's the point? I don't mentally know where I want my career to go. I'm going to go to college so I can make everyone else happy. And then I'm going to get this debt for a job that I'm either going to hate.
You're aimlessly going to get a ton of money in unbankruptable debt.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's
I'm
really
either
what
going
it
to
is.
hate my job. I'm not going to be able to switch careers like I want. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be in all of this debt for no reason.
Yeah. So I originally, when I started college, was to go for a bachelor's degree in business management or something like that. And I got my associate's degree, and I was like, I've taken 2 business classes in the 2.5 years, or the 2 years that it took me to get my associate's degree. And I was like, I don't even know what I want to do. And I'm just taking out student loans because they're giving them to me, and that's the societal norm. And I'm like, if you don't follow the societal norms for finances, you're going to be pretty well off. This is what happened to me to realize what we should be doing financially. I talked to my grandparents a lot about finances. And Dave Ramsey says it a lot too. And if Dave Ramsey is cringy to you, then that's fine. But he says that
He's cringy to me too.
yeah, to a lot of people he is. It's Uncle Dave. But no, he says that it's God's and Grandma's advice. And when he says that, like the amount of older people that are on fixed incomes where their income changes slightly by every year and they get what they get, they are incredibly intelligent with their money. They don't overspend.
My parents, like my mom didn't graduate middle school. My dad bounced back and forth just getting jobs just to like he wasn't even in the same country as us just because he was trying to get money to feed us. And they have zero debt other than like whatever's remaining on their mortgage.
Yep.
And my mom always said, if you don't have money, you don't need it.
Yep.
And it's that simple.
Yep.
And she can, like, I don't even understand how her brain works. But like when we go shopping and stuff, she has this mental like calculation in her brain where she knows exactly how much she spent down to the penny, and she knows exactly how much she has on her bank account. Just like in her head. But the other thing that I was gonna say, like back to the expectations thing, like for our wedding when we decided to like do everything like on a real budget, like the amount of like backhanded like comments that we got, like, oh well, I'll just wear jeans to your wedding, or oh, you're gonna do it in your backyard. Like, all for what, one day? It's not even 24 hours of you spending hundreds and thousands of dollars.
No, sometimes, but most of the time, $30,000
at minimum. Like,
yeah.
when I went dress shopping, I told them that I wanted like a specific budget, and they were putting me in dresses that were $5,000. Can you imagine spending $5,000 on a dress you're going to wear for less than a day
Wow.
and never touch it again?
But it's your wedding dress.
It's
You're
supposed to
only
like,
going to get married once.
like, it's a hard pill to swallow when people are like, oh, you're really going to do that? Oh, you're really not going to college? Oh, you're really not going to have a nice wedding? Like, this is the one thing in your life you're going to, like, regret.
Yeah. And then you just need to be confident that, like, when they tell you that thing, that's retarded that they're trying to get you to spend that crazy amount of money.
Yep.
There's, Dave Ramsey says, and I completely agree, there is a strong, The amount of money that is spent on a wedding does not correlate with how successful the marriage is. In fact, it probably is the opposite correlation, where the more money you spend, the more likely it is going to be a failed marriage.
And at the end of the day, as morbid as it is, when we all die, anything we have on this earth is literally not going anywhere with us. Mm-hmm. So why are we stressing out? Why are we killing ourselves to make like this like physical thing around us? Like,
we're naturally materialistic creatures, and I think that the problem is that most people's idea of success is like a really nice car, a really nice house, really nice clothes, and our idea of success is like financial freedom, being able to have freedom of our time. And like, I'll wear $10 shirts, or like buy a pack of shirts for $10. If that means that I can be financially free and I get to choose how I spend my time, that is the most valuable commodity. And too many other people, they take out a bunch of loans and their time is decided for them. You know what I mean? That they have to work because their time is decided for them. So I want financial freedom. My goal is not to retire. I've said it on other episodes of this podcast before. My goal is not to retire. My goal is to be able to be financially free as soon as possible in life while enjoying my life doing it.
You want that like F you money to where like, if you don't
Someone,
like your job, screw you, I'm out. I'll go get another job. Like, you're not tied to other people to make money kind of thing.
Quite literally, I did that.
Yeah.
We were in a good financial spot. I took a giant pay decrease and completely changed the direction of my career. And I don't regret it in the light. Like, I am so thankful that we were able to do that, because I mean, you've seen it. My happiness levels have changed dramatically.
Yeah, same thing with me when I worked in the pharmacy. Like, I was literally having like panic attacks before I went into work.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would rather get paid so much less for me to be able to walk into a job.
Yeah, that you liked.
Like, a job is not worth you having panic attacks for.
Right. Yeah, a job that you liked. Yeah. It would be much better to go into. Yeah. No, I completely agree. So, this is my next tip. Unless you have anything else you want to say about that one. I would say the goal of your finances should be to make it harder to spend and easier to save. Because this is more of a habitual thing. And let me explain. So, you want to make it automated that you're saving money. Like, where it's just automatic. You want to make it where spending money requires effort. Not when I say make it harder, I mean requires more effort than it would be to save. So, a lot of that, and this is controversial, and I'm probably going to lose some people here too. People that use their credit cards for everything.
You lose me on this one too.
Well, not even completely though, because you understand the concept.
I get the concept, but you're very extreme with. I think I know where you're gonna go.
Let me just make this point. So, if you can use cash as much as possible, if you have $80, you only have $80. You're not going to spend right up to exactly $80 most of the time. You're going to spend less than that. So if you only have $80, you spend $80. When you use a credit card, you have a limit. And you typically know how much of that limit you still have available. So in your mind plays a trick on itself when you're shopping with a credit card. And it is so much easier to overspend. It is so much easier to overspend with a credit card. And you're like, oh, well, if I'm going to buy it anyways with cash, I might as well buy it with a credit card. And I get that sometimes. But I'm saying to strategically only use a credit card for the points or the cash back or whatever. Like, credit card companies spend millions of dollars researching to find out how to get people to use their stuff more. That's why they offer incentives for you to use it. Like, I just don't believe that if your main reason for using your credit card for everything is because, oh, I get points or cash back, you're one of the people that got tricked. And in saying that, I used to use my credit card for everything and then just pay it all back. I've never paid a dime in interest on my credit card. However, we also save money. We use our debit cards for everything. And then I know that you're going to hear somebody in the background that goes, like, oh my God, a credit card's way more secure than a debit card. And it's like, then just take the money out and spend in cash. I mean, that helps you stick to it. But there is cash is like hard evidence of like, this is what I have. That's it. This is at the end of it. This is it. And with cash, there is this like mental thing when you buy something with cash that it almost like psychologically hurts to spend the cash, because like if I give the cashier $20 for something that's $20, I get the item, they keep the cash. That your mind is like, it almost is like a mental balance where like they've literally done studies at Harvard where you'll spend less money if you spend in cash. So if the name of your financial game is to save money, and in my mind the game is to save money so we can invest, so we can create money that makes more money so that we can be financially free sooner rather than later, then you should be focused on as many ways as you can to beat the system. And using your credit card, it is a slippery slope that will get you to spend more money. That was the main reason I was making that point. If you automate your savings to where you have it to where it automatically, as soon as the money comes in, it goes into an account for your emergency fund if you're building an emergency fund, or if it goes into an account where you invest every once a month or something like that, you should have it set up to where it's automated so you don't even have to do it, where the thing you want is automated. Like it's like going to the gym. It should be an automated thing where every day I wake up, I'm going to the gym. It's an automated thing. It should require minimal amounts of friction, as least friction as possible. And I think that the more friction you have to save money, the less likely you are to do it.
Even just simply pulling your phone out to transfer money, like that's already like one step too many.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, at least, like I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll pull out my phone and I'll transfer the money, and then it's like,
and then I'll
5
spend the
days
money
later, and
yeah.
I'm like, I never transfer the money.
Yeah. Yep.
So I agree with that point, because when I go shopping, I'll take out like X amount of cash, and that will last me for like a month and a half. Versus if I use my credit card, I know that I'm going to put more on it, because it's so easy to just swipe.
Yep.
My thing with that, it's like I'm also not as strict. Like if I need gas, I'm just going to put it on my card and pay it off. Like.
And I'm the same way too, because I'll be completely transparent. I still use my credit card for some things, but like it's really just for online purchases that we're gonna make anyways. Mm-hmm. And I don't spend on my credit card unless I can pay it off that day.
Oh yeah, I never spend more than what I have in our like debit account.
Yeah.
Like if the money's not there and I can just transfer it right away, I'm not buying it.
Right. Unless it's like a Tuesday and I know I get paid on that Friday and I know that we're going to use the money on Friday to completely pay it off. But even that's a slippery slope that I get scared to do.
Yeah. No, just don't go down that hole.
And the other point I wanted to make on this too was that if you want something that you didn't budget for that month, you don't say, no, I don't have the money for it. You say, no, I don't have the money for it right now, budgeted for right now, but we're going to put this in next month's budget. And
have to wait.
And that, because that's really what your budget is. Your budget is something that makes sure that you're spending less money than you're making. That's really what it is. It's just a framework to control the person who uses the funds, i.e. i.e. her. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just slows down the rate of spending, which is the goal of it. And to make sure that you know that what you're doing, because this is one of my favorite quotes. If you plan for nothing, that's exactly what you'll get. Mm-hmm. If you plan for nothing, that's exactly what you'll get. So I think if you don't have a financial plan, then that's exactly what you'll get. So, you can't live your life. You can't live, this could be a whole nother podcast, but you can't live your life in a way that you let life happen to you and you react. You have to be proactive in your life in every facet. Yep.
Very good.
Do you have anything else to say about credit cards? Because I know I just probably lost a bunch of people. And I don't hate you for using your credit cards. I get you've never paid any money in interest. I get that side of it too. But if you can't accept what I said, where it's financially, it is easier to spend more when you use a credit card, and when you use cash, it is harder to go over your budget. I mean, it just is. That is just a factual thing. That is why credit card companies, like, you should look at how much time and energy and advertising credit card companies do. You should really look into it and read some articles about it. I think you guys would be fascinated.
We are literally being programmed, just like with social media, like everything around us, to want instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Like that is what society or what. Like, that's literally what we're being made to do. We see an ad, it's in our head. 5 minutes later, we see another ad, and now we need to go and buy it online. Like, you know how many people are like, oh, TikTok made me do it. Oh, Instagram made me do it. Like, do you realize
we're being advertised?
People are controlling you.
Yep. Well, if everyone, like, my thing is like, we live in a society where everything is for this monthly payment. For this monthly payment. When you go to a car dealership, that's one of the big tactics they do. They don't sell you on how much the car costs. They sell you on how much the payment is.
We should do a podcast on, like, my hatred for social media.
Yeah, we should. But so everyone's sold on a low monthly payment. If you noticed, if you're online shopping, almost everything can be financed. Everything.
Leggings.
Clothes.
You can do monthly payments for leggings.
Yep. Oh, they're interest free for 4 months.
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
like, oh my gosh. If you can't pay for it in full, what are we talking about?
Like, I get, like, big expenses, like, stuff that you really, really need to, like, have something in your home function or, like, your car or whatever. But you should not be able to finance something on Amazon. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, that is a trick by the finance companies to get people to have their income spoken for.
And it comes down to, we are all big toddlers and we do not want to wait. We want instant gratification. We want that dopamine hit.
Grow up.
Like the whole
save the money.
Retail
pay for
therapy, like TikTok made, like, we're literally like have all of these trends specifically for bad spending habits.
Yep.
And we normalize that, and that is not okay.
The hard part about finances are realizing that grandma was right. Just save your money. There's no special tricks. There is no special tricks when it comes to finances, as far as like, oh, well, if I, leverage my debt here and then move it over here and da-da-da-da-da. Like, listen to your grandmother's advice. Do the easy thing. Follow what rich people are doing. Follow what people who have money and can buy whatever they want. I would rather be able to buy whatever I want and not do it than buy whatever I want and be slave to my income. To be slave to my income. I don't know. That's coming from my point of view, where I had left a job that I didn't like to go to a job that I really, really like for less money. How many people that are listening to this are stuck in a job? They're stuck in a loop of what they don't want to do because of the money they get paid, because of the lifestyle that they live. They have this crazy thing called a lifestyle creep. I've met people who make $250,000 a year who are broke.
It's like every time you make more, oh, now I can add this subscription to my budget, or now I can go to this thing with my budget. And it's like your paycheck probably increased by like a couple percentages. Like, it's not gonna.
Yep. Lifestyle creep.
Yep.
It's called lifestyle creep. Yep.
So moving on.
Yes. Your next point.
My last point was understanding the other person's brain.
That's a financial tip?
Like,
yeah.
Emotionally, just like understanding how they think through it, because that was a big, like, finances when we first started were not good.
What do you mean? We were also 19.
Yeah, like, we were also
adults.
really young, but like, it was so stressful for me because I'm emotional, and you're very like, that's all your brain thinks about, and everything fits into like these perfect little like categories and everything. And in my brain, it's just like when you have yarn and you just like throw it and like mess it up, and like everything's like spaghetti. Like, that's what my brain felt like.
That's what they taught. That's what I remember being taught that in school. Women's brains are like cooked spaghetti. Everything is intertwined. And then guys are like waffles, where each little box, it's like, oh, I'm not mentally in the box that you're talking about. Let me exit the box that I'm currently thinking about and go into that box.
I wish. It's like, if I'm emotionally stressed about one thing, it's gonna come into whatever topic we talk about.
Yep.
There is no like, that's why like for me, and that, like, I'll say it again and you guys are like, oh my gosh, go see a therapist. Like me in the house, if my house is a mess, there is nothing you can do to relax me.
That's not true. That's not true. We can leave. Get coffee, ice cream.
And even then, I'm going to be...
You're a giant toddler. You're a giant toddler.
I'm going to go get coffee. I'd be like, oh my God, I got to do dishes. I got to do laundry. Like, I got to mop. I haven't vacuumed the house in like a day and a half. Like, like, that's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
So it's like, A, understand where you're both at mentally before the conversation starts. Understand how you both talk about the issue. Like, you're very like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like this sounds like we're going to reorganize this. And I'm like, okay, just show me the numbers. Show me exactly how much we need to pay each month. Add it all up and tell me what I have left over. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Your budget gives you the freedom to spend, by the way. Like, that's one thing that we have learned by trial and error, is that your budget gives you time to save or to spend, rather. Because like, we were just basically budgeting for like gas, groceries, and going out to eat, and then all of our bills went to their own account, because anything that's an automated bill, the money just goes there and it just automatically keeps coming out, and then we don't even touch the account for anything else, just bills. And then gas, groceries, and going out to eat is its own thing. And then we were not budgeting for doctor's visits, for car maintenance, for oil changes, for, car parts too, because we drive older vehicles. They're going to need some maintenance. We weren't budgeting for those things, or like, just spending money. Like, you're like, hey, do I have money to go spend? And I'm like, no, you only got to, like, it's just, we had to learn of the categories for us. So like, now we have a separate account for car maintenance. And it feels easier for me to spend the money in that account when there's money in that account. Like, if I need to buy an $80 car part,
it's there.
Like, if the money is there, then I can buy it. If the money's not there, it's like, we'll just wait till the money's there.
Same thing with like doctor visits. Like, we recently had a lot of stuff going on, and it's like every time we went to like any like emergency room or anything like that, it's like $200, and that adds up really quick. Anytime you go to like specialty doctors, that's like an X amount, and that like it doesn't feel like a lot.
But it affects your brain differently.
But also, like, sometimes you don't pay when you get there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like, they don't necessarily quote you. Like, this is, like, my biggest pet peeve, and I could, like, scream at someone, but I'm not that kind of person. It's like, if you go to get your blood drawn, or if you go to get, like, certain procedures done, they don't tell you how much you're going to pay until after you get it done.
It's a crazy
Then they bill the insurance, and then you get a bill.
That's crazy.
Like, if you want to know how much a procedure or something's going to cost, you physically have to pick up the phone, call your doctor, ask for whatever codes they're going to bill, then hang up the phone, call your insurance, wait for an hour and a half, be like, can you run these bills and tell me how much I'm going to pay?
It's insane. That's a whole nother issue.
And then it's also like within each doctor's office, like not all doctors are covered. So one day you can see Dr. A, they're not there, and go to Dr. B, and now you have to pay out of pocket for Dr. B.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole mess. But now that we have like this whole setup, it's like,
well, we used to just like, we're saving up to buy a house one day, which whole nother conversation. But we're saving up to buy a house one day, and we just used to pull the money from our house savings. And it was like, we felt like we were going nowhere fast on our house savings, because it's like, we would save up all this money, and then all of a sudden a $1,000 doctor bill for when I had my tonsils removed would come out of nowhere, and we're like, well, I guess this just comes out of our house fund. And it just felt like we were spinning our tires. And I was like, why don't we just budget and put a certain amount of money into this account for medical expenses, and then when I spend the money, my house savings doesn't change, and it doesn't hurt me. Granted, I know that there's this mental shift of like, you're still spending the same amount of money. That hasn't changed. But now I have allocated that money for that thing.
You don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad at all.
That's like going back to my point, like, not only like do you need to know where each other is at emotionally and how you handle finances, you need to know individually what your priorities are and how you react to spending money.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like, I don't really think about the long term like you do. Like, you're the one that's like, oh, we need life insurance.
I had to explain to you why we shouldn't just have $50,000 in a checking account.
Yeah, like you
like,
see like the investment side of it, and to me it's like, oh, I have enough money for my bills, I have money saved, like we're good, like I'll deal with the future when it comes.
Yep.
So it's just kind of like understanding your priorities, both of you knowing exactly what comes first and what you're working towards. Like, retirement and all of that is now like a big thing for me, but before I was like, oh yeah, I have a 401k, like I think that's good enough, like I'll be fine kind of thing. But now it's like, no, like you need to have like an expansion of like where you like save your money for retirement, like all of that stuff, which I would have never really like taken the time to learn like anything about the stock market. Like that would never have happened. Same thing with like life insurance.
Most people get to retirement, though, just to speak on what you just said, most people get to retirement and are then told how much money they can spend instead of planning for it ahead of time and just going, like, oh, this is how much money I'll need at retirement to retire and live the way that I want to live. Because most people get to the end of their working careers and they're like, oh wow, now I have to even be on a stricter budget than before because I'm on a tighter income than before.
What's that quote you say? You have to like sacrifice now to like the financial quote, like you can't have what you want now so that when like in the future you can live the life you want to live, kind of thing. I totally butchered that.
I mean,
it's
I mean, I don't know that there's a specific quote, but
you say this one phrase all the time.
I don't know what you're
But basically, like, obviously saving for retirement, having life insurance, like having all of these things constantly pulled from your account makes your day-to-day, like, spending less because you're not going to have all that money that you could have used to spend now, like, readily available. So your now is going to be a little bit difficult, and it's not going to be as, like, openly and free for you to like do whatever you want with your money.
Yeah.
But in the future, you're going to have all that leftover money because you sacrificed now.
I don't know. It's like, what would you like your life to look like? Do you want your life to look like where you get to do what you want and live a fulfilling life to you and what your dreams are and your goals are and your like bucket list stuff? Like, do you want to do all those things, or do you want to get to the end and be like, oh, you know, I've got to live in a trailer park now, and you know, an old folks trailer park, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, that is the case for a lot of people. They maximize their life in every moment until they can't do that anymore. Then they're told how they need to minimize their lives.
I feel like a big one for us too was minimalism.
Yeah, that was one of the things I had typed in there, was such as using cash as much as possible, minimalist mindset. Which
we should probably do a whole like separate episode on that. But just like when you have less in your home, it's less for you to take care of. So that's a huge thing for me. Also, like it's so easy for us to constantly buy stuff, like constantly see things that we want. And honestly, you're probably gonna stick it in a closet and never touch it again.
And it's gonna have mental baggage.
Like if you open your bathroom cabinets and it's stacked to the top with products and crap you're never going to use, maybe stop buying products. Like, I know this is gonna be crazy. I have one mascara, one foundation, one concealer, a little pack of eyeshadow, and like 3 lipsticks. That's it. I used to, once upon a time, have an entire like chest drawer thing full of makeup. But I'm like, why am I spending hundreds?
You wear makeup like once or twice a year.
First of all, I never wear makeup anymore. Like, but in high school and stuff like that, like I used to like wear more makeup and things like that. But I'm like, why am I spending hundreds of dollars on crappy products that I'm never gonna use?
Because you're advertised it.
Yes,
it's like incredibly advertised.
This is like
to women.
back in like the YouTube like makeup like era when like girls used to do like all of
it's
these.
Still
like,
an era.
Like
yeah.
But back then it was like huge, and it's like, why am I doing that? Like, I am not a makeup artist. I'm never gonna wear like red eyeliner. Like, why do I need that? So it's just one of those things where it's like I've learned to have less. Like I have 2 cleaning products, like 2 sprays. Like you're not gonna use 100 different sprays.
Yeah.
You don't need a spray for like a mirror, a spray for like the cabinet, a spray for what, like there's multi-purpose products. Like we can do like a whole thing on that. Same thing with like my closet. Like I used to have like, oh my gosh, when I lived at my mom's, I used to have, you know, Ricardo's room. Yeah. I used to have that closet full. And then I had to have Alejandro or Fernando or one of them put a rack on the whole wall. Like it was a double rack full of clothes.
Yeah. It's crazy. But that's the mindset we live in, is like, we live in this mindset of buying things makes me happy. And then you buy the thing, the happiness wears off, and now you're stuck with the thing.
And you're like, more, and when isn't enough? Like, when are you going to be content? Like, that was like the biggest thing for me. It's like, I have all of these clothes. I still go to my closet, and I can't find anything to wear. I hate everything. And now it's like, if I put something on and I don't feel comfortable in it, get it out. I don't want it.
Yep.
I'm picky about the fabric. I'm picky about the fit. I'm picky about everything. Now, when I go to my closet, I can grab whatever thing I want with like the lights off, and I'm good to go. Yeah. Like it's one of those things where like I used to have this like I want more. I need to like have that shirt. I need to have that dress. I need to have that product.
We're all advertised to in different ways too, like Instagram, YouTube, sponsored videos and stuff like that there. And then on top of that, you know, then you start to feel like you need it and why it's so great and why it's going to make my life 10 times better. And then you go to, you know, a grocery store or Costco or something like that, and they put all this stuff that you didn't before you walked in the store, you didn't know you needed, a fucking new TV or an Apple Watch or like all these things, but they put it right in your face so that way you feel like you need it.
I could go on a rant about this for forever. But basically, it's like figure out when you're going to be content. When is enough?
Yep.
Do you have what you need, or are you constantly going to be spending your money, spinning your wheels for like absolutely no reason?
So my next point is kind of like a combination of two different things. So you need, as a couple, you need to have a financial philosophy that you guys agree on. And what I mean by that is your philosophy of life is your roadmap for how you live it. And we have a similar roadmap on how we want to handle our finances because of how we want to live our lives. So you have to have a financial philosophy. Dave Ramsey is a financial philosophy where it's like, this is the roadmap you should operate your finances on because of how you should live your lives, kind of thing. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. I've said it on previous podcasts. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you can't handle your finances, why would you be able to handle your relationship?
And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, Dave Ramsey, or it doesn't have to be Dave Ramsey, but they're like, oh, this plan is too extreme for me. Like that's a lot. And I'm like, honey, you're $200,000 in debt with your credit card. You need something extreme.
You drive a Lexus and you make 25 grand a year. Like, you have a brand new Lexus. Like you see the problems here.
Extreme is not your issue on this end. Your issue is over here, and you need to get here.
Yeah.
Like,
if your friends judge you based upon how nice of a vehicle you drive, you need new friends. Or you need to help level your friends up.
Like, be humble.
Yeah.
Someone said, and it's like a common quote, like, being humble never looked bad on anyone.
Right.
And it's like, you don't need the nicest. Like, I could say this till like blue in the face. Like, you don't need the nicest stuff.
You guys, so my biggest point, you need to have a financial philosophy and you need to have financial goals. And don't forget, when I say goals, I don't mean, oh, one day I'll have a Lamborghini. I mean that goals are dreams with work boots on. So you need to make sure that you are controlling yourself. When I say goals are dreams with work boots on, it is like, I want to have this, so I'm going to put a date on the calendar that I'm going to have it by, and I'm going to reverse engineer how I'm going to get there. So if you want a Mercedes, how much is the Mercedes that you want, and how much is it going to be when you get to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you should have financial goals to get there.
It's like the whole like prayer without action. Like, you can pray for whatever you want, but if you're just sitting on the couch, like, you're not gonna get it. Or like the whole like everyone's doing like this, like the new thing is well, not like praying's ever like not new. Like, the whole thing right now is like manifesting, like creating a vision board and like claiming what you want and all of that. And it's like, you can have the prettiest vision board. If you're sitting on your butt, you're not gonna get that.
It's like the guy who prayed every day for his whole life to win the lottery, and he died, went to heaven, and he talked to God, and he was like, God, I prayed every day to win the lottery. Like, what the fuck? And God was like, more or less, I'm paraphrasing, but God was like, yeah, you never bought a ticket, dude. You can't pray to win the lottery and don't buy a ticket.
Yeah, like, just work towards your goals. Like, don't expect anything to be handed. And that's like a big mentality right now. This like, the world owes me, or like, I'm valued this much, so this is what I should get. Like, no.
Yep. Control
Put
your
work
house.
boots on.
Yep. Control your home. Control your house. You know, the White House has less to do with your life than you might give it. So
if you know more about politics than you do about your own finances, reevaluate yourself.
Yo. Say that one more time, Danny.
If you know more about politics than you do about your finances, reevaluate.
You can't hide. Woo! I know a ton of people that can tell you how terrible the government is about all the money they spend, and that are crazily in debt and can't manage their finances. And I'm like, first off, who are you to judge Congress if you're doing the same things they are? Yeah. Oof. You need to have financial goals, have a financial philosophy that can help you obtain the financial goals that you guys want. Set a timeline for what you want, and then work your way back on how you're going to do that. So for us, it's financial freedom. We really want financial freedom. So that means we need to be very disciplined in what we want to do. And there are things that break the idea of we need to save, because there is a point too where you're just like not enjoying your life so that you can enjoy it later. It's like, no, you should be enjoying it now, but you need to be doing it within a realm. Like jujitsu for me, like, yes, I could take the money I spend on jiu-jitsu and I could invest that every month, and then maybe one day I'll have, a nicer vehicle or something like that. And I'm willing to sacrifice the vehicle that I drive in the future so that I can enjoy my life now, if that makes sense. Like,
it all goes
we
back
like
to
experiences,
priorities.
and we prioritize experiences and what we do with our lives and what we can hang our hat on at the end of the day of what we've done.
Like, it goes down to priorities. Like, jiu-jitsu is like a big thing for you. So we set up our finances so you can do that.
Yep.
Same thing like when we go on vacations. Like, when we go on vacations, screw the budget. Like, we technically have budgeted and we have an outline of like what we need to spend, but we're not on vacation like, okay, this coffee costs $5, okay, and then we're gonna go to dinner and that's gonna be like $60. Like, we don't care. We're just like, okay, we want to go there. We want to go there. Okay, I'm hungry again, let's go get a snack. Like
something we never do here is we go out for coffee every day when we're on vacation.
Twice a day sometimes.
We don't make our own coffee, like, typically.
And it's like, if I want a $50, like...
But that's what we want to do.
Like, all of these shirts that I wear from places we've been to, like...
Yeah. Well, we like coffee shops.
I spend an outrageous amount of money on T-shirts when we go places. Like, I have... Like, the one that I bought when we were in... where was it?
The Grand Canyon?
No. It was, like, the pink, white, and blue one that we got from... I think it was, like, Boone, North Carolina.
Oh, yes.
That was, like, $150 for a freaking T-shirt.
It was not that much.
It was expensive.
It was like $60, everybody. She's just a little exaggerating, but
I'm like, I would never, ever buy anything brand new for that much money here. Yeah. Ever.
So, going back to all of this.
Priorities. That was my point. Sorry.
Yeah.
I go on
tangents. Goals. You should have goals of what you guys want to do with life. And it requires a thought of, you guys have to sit down and really just, think to yourself, what do I want? And that is a hard thing to come up with. And you're constantly trying to pursue, what do I want and how do I get to it? Because even for us, I mean, that's why I have a podcast. That, like, this is a product of me going, what do I want out of life? What is a priority to me? People, like, literally, I could go on and on. Like, I would not have 4 microphones, 4 sets of headphones, a recording device, a camera, posting clips all the time. Like, I look at what I have done now as easy because I've already done it and I'm doing it now and it's just something I'm doing.
But it wasn't easy when you were doing it.
Right. It was so hard to get started, but I was like, I just knew all I needed to do was start and then do this and then do this. It's just... I'm sitting on top of a pile of my mistakes instead of underneath them, Yep,
you have to be uncomfortable for a little bit to get the life you want.
Exactly.
So
this is a good podcast. See, we didn't talk about finances. Finances is like, it wasn't scary, right? Like, this is a subject you didn't want to do because you're like, oh my God.
I'm just saying, like, finances, like, my brain when it comes to finances is like avoid it at all costs, but I know it needs to be done kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that it's like you just have to do.
Yeah.
It's like doing laundry. Like, nobody likes doing laundry, and if you do, like, you're blessed.
I like laundry being done. I don't like doing laundry.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you want clean clothes and you like that, but you have to, like, start the washer. You have to remember to put it in the dryer. You have to fold everything. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like nobody wants to do it. It's like a chore, but it needs to be done so you can have things to wear.
Yep. But this was a fun episode for me. Obviously, I'm the more financially mindset person because I believe that your finances are a numerical value of how well you handle your lives. And when you get married, that's just going to be something you're going to have to deal with.
Yep. You're a team now. Mm-hmm. You're not individuals. Like, yes and no. But
Yep. So that could almost be a red flag podcast too, where we can talk about financial red flags.
Ooh.
That would be a good one. Financial red flags. All right, guys, if you have any suggestions, please reach out to us. You can do it. Just comment on one of the videos that we post on the Somehow We're Adults page for any topics you want there.
Find us on social
If you know
media.
one of us personally, shoot us a text or send me a message on the Somehow We're Adults podcast page. Or if you know either of us individually, you can do it on an individual Instagrams as well. Go YouTube comments, whatever. Send us your suggestions. We'd love to hear what you guys want to hear, because we're making content that we just think would be fun to make at this point. So, or stuff that we think others might like. So, let your voices be heard. Let us know. Subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast. We try and put one of these out every single week, and then we're also still going to be doing the interview style based podcasts that I was previously doing. I'm still doing those. It's just a matter of getting people scheduled. It was too cyclical. It got just to the point where it was just too hard to get people here on a regular basis.
It's also the holidays, so it's kind of harder to schedule. So if you guys want any specific topics, it doesn't even have to be relationship wise, like just anything that you want our non-valuable 2 cents in, just let us know.
If you just want to hear us just ramble on, then let us know. So thanks for listening, and anything else you want to add? All right, we're good. We'll see you guys next time. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
This episode of Somehow We're Adults is over, but if you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to one of the levels of the Patreon, where we will release bonus episodes that can't be found anywhere else. Any of the money that we get from the Patreon would be used to upgrade old equipment, as well as get new gear so that we can make the best podcast for you to tune into. You can also follow the podcast Instagram at Somehow We're Adults, where I share clips and content about the podcast, and the link in the bio will take you to any of the Somehow We're Adults pages. I encourage you to check out another one of the episodes if this is your first time listening, and if you're a repeat listener, thank you for your support. I love making the podcast, and I hope you tune in for future episodes of Somehow We're Adults.